Hey guys, Take a Fight, and today I've got another mouse comparison for you guys. This time it's the SteelSeries Rival 3 versus Razer Deathadder Essential, two mice which I've reviewed on my channel. Some of you will be quick to point out that this isn't really a very good comparison. These are two very different mice. But that's the point of this video. They're both $30 and I'm going to try and help you decide what you should spend your $30 on based on your grip type, hand size and other preferences. If you enjoy this video or find it helpful, please consider subscribing to the channel. But obviously you got to watch it first, so guys, let's get into this. The first difference between these mice, and it's a huge one, is the shape. The SteelSeries Rival 3 is obviously a lot smaller and is semi-ambidextrous, whereas the Deathadder is a lot bigger and has an ergonomic shape. In fact, the Deathadder is 127mm long, 61.7mm wide and 42.7mm tall. Comparatively, the Rival 3 is very small. It's just 121mm long, 67mm wide at the rear, but 58.3 at the front, and 37.9mm high. Therefore, if you're a palm user, the Deathadder's shape definitely suits you more. For claw and fingertip grip, I'd still go for the SteelSeries Rival 3 in most cases. For fingertip grip, the Deathadder is near impossible for most people, since it's very big, and therefore the Rival 3 and its semi-ambidextrous shape suit fingertip grip a lot more. For claw grip, it's a bit harder. If your hands are on the larger side, I'd go with the Deathadder Essential. However, if your hands are a bit smaller, or you have more of an aggressive claw, then definitely the SteelSeries Rival 3. Personally, my hands are 17cm by 8.5cm, and I can't get comfy clawing the Razer Deathadder Essential. However, I can with the SteelSeries Rival 3, and enjoy the shape of it a lot. The weight is also a huge difference. This is obviously a big mouse, the Deathadder Essential, and it weighs 96 grams. Whereas the SteelSeries Rival 3 weighs just 77 grams. That makes the Rival 3 feel so much more agile and nice to use, especially when you want to be nice and accurate with fast flicks at low sensitivities. However, there is a market for a heavier mouse. A lot of people do like that, and that's a good thing about the Deathadder is it's big and it's fairly heavy. So if that's something you like, then obviously the Deathadder is something to consider, but personally I prefer a lighter mouse, and the SteelSeries Rival 3 obviously wins for me. Performance wise, and first of all with the sensor, the SteelSeries Rival 3 has a maximum DPI of 8500 and a fairly high lift-off distance of 8 playing cards. In my individual review, I said this caused a bit of cursor jiggle, and the lift-off distance was a bit high in my opinion. Similarly, the Razer Deathadder Essential has a lift-off distance of 8 playing cards, however it only has a max DPI of 6400. Therefore, both suffer from the cursor jiggle while readjusting the mouse. It's not too significant, particularly on the Rival 3, especially since the lighter weight means you can lift it up easier and avoid that happening. So personally, I think the Rival 3 has the better sensor. It also felt that little bit more responsive and precise, and I did like that about the Rival 3. For the primary mouse clicks, once again the ones on the Rival 3 were much better. They felt a lot nicer, and the ones on the Deathadder Essential even suffered from a bit of pre-travel. They didn't feel nice and I didn't like them at all. Whereas the ones on the Rival 3 I actually quite enjoyed, and I was certainly very impressed by their quality on a $30 mouse. Here's a little sound test if you're interested of the left click on the Rival 3 and the right click. And then for the Deathadder Essential, the left click and the right click. As for the side buttons, it's one of the few things I prefer about the Deathadder Essential here. They're a bit bigger and nice to find and easy to use. They're not exactly exceptional, but the ones on the Rival 3 took a bit too much force to use in my opinion. They had a sharp, small design, and like I said, that bit of force meant in a lot of situations they weren't as nice to use, and I really can't get used to them. Whereas the ones on the Deathadder Essential were actually pretty satisfying to use. For the scroll wheels though, I go back to thinking the Rival 3 is much better. I found myself double scrolling on the Deathadder Essential, and I just didn't like the feel of it. It didn't feel very nice at all, whereas I had none of these issues. The Rival 3 scrolled distinctly between each step, and it had a really satisfying click, and it was just overall the better experience to use. On the SteelSeries Rival 3, it only has a rubber cable. However, in my review of it, I said that I prefer a rubber cable to a cheap braided cable. And with the Deathadder Essential, that's exactly what I mean. It's a cheap braided cable, it's ridiculously stiff, and I absolutely hate the cable. You can see more of that in my full review of the Deathadder, which is more of a rant. I don't like this mouse. And don't even get me started on the feet. If you've seen the full review that I was talking about of the Deathadder Essential, the feet are horrible. They sound and feel like sandpaper, and I just really hate them. The ones on the Rival 3, it's a $30 mouse, they're not going to blow you away, but they were certainly way better than the feet on the Deathadder Essential. They just had a lot more glide, a lot more smooth, and they were much more consistent. So definitely the Rival 3 wins in terms of the cable and feet. Finally, for the lighting and software, it's not even up for debate. The Rival 3 looks better. You have the cool light bar, 3 RGB zones, and loads of cool options you can change in the SteelSeries engine. Sure, Razer Synapse, I would say, is usually quite good and on par with SteelSeries engine, but you have to have it since there's no way to change the DPI of the Deathadder Essential without the software. You can only have green, and you have very few options for the lighting in terms of effects and things like that. So the SteelSeries Rival 3 wins in the lighting and software department, and that at $30 is worth considering, I think, when you're buying a gaming mouse. Overall, performance based, and in a lot of scenarios for most people's hand size and shape, the Rival 3 is a clear winner. The only time I can consider recommending the Deathadder Essential in the slightest is if you have really large hands or you're a palm user. Apart from that, if you're a claw or fingertip user, go with the SteelSeries Rival 3. It's a much better mouse. Most people really enjoy this mouse, and I think it's an excellent value for money product. And the Deathadder Essential, even at $30, isn't worth the price. And if it's not on sale, if it's not $30, just please do not buy the Deathadder Essential. It's rubbish. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and even consider subscribing to the channel. If you want to look as cool as me, and I know you do, you can get yourself some merch at techify.co.uk/merch. For your next video, either check out one of the comparisons between the Rival 3, since it's a very good mouse, or notably the Rival 3 versus Viper Mini, another Razer mouse which is a little bit more at $40, but it's definitely a much better value for money option from Razer and a very good competitor in the budget mouse market. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.